Welcome to Math Plus, where math makes sense. In this video, we are going to be subtracting 5 digits by 5 digits. And if you know how to subtract, you're going to find you already know how to do it. But it starts to look complicated when you get lots of numbers. These are some things that will help you when you subtract. This is a little poem with the subtraction rules. If you were to highlight the numbers in the one place, because we always start from the right and then we work our way to the left, opposite of reading, ask yourself a question, use your poem if this helps you. If the poem doesn't help you, then don't use that strategy. There's always more than one strategy. But look at those two numbers in the ones place. More on top, no need to stop. Well, the number on the top is smaller, so we need to keep going. Let's see what the second step says. More on the floor, go next door. So we do have more on the floor. So then we have to go next door and get a set of 10. And what happens when we do that, and we're going to go over this in more detail, but what happens when we do that, when we go to get a 10, we cross off that 9, we make it an 8, and then we add that 10 to the 1, okay? And that makes it 11. So then we can say 11 minus 2 is 9. And we go over to the tens place, use the same poem. More on top, no need to stop. Leave it alone. 8 minus 1 is 7. Write that poem down if it will help you, if you need to use it. I have other strategies I will show you as well. If you have trouble lining up your numbers and keeping them in the correct place value, it's so easy to rewrite numbers and then get them all mixed up. Use graph paper like you see that I have here. You can just put those numbers in the boxes and it keeps it lined up. Hey, maybe you couldn't get to the store and get some graph paper. Mom has to work, or maybe you don't have a store close by. Get your notebook. Now, your notebook usually looks like this, but flip it sideways. And look here, you have lines, and you could write all of your equations up on top of each other straight in those lines. And I'm going to show you how to use this little piece of paper as well. Let's get started. We're going to do a practice one first. And what I mean by practice, we're going to do one that looks easy because it has less numbers. But again, like I said, having more numbers doesn't change any of the rules. It just means you have to do it more times. Same rules. Every single time you subtract in each row, each column going up and down, your ones and your tens, then your hundreds, same principle, same process. What I like to do, especially for kids that get mixed up, sometimes you see all those numbers and it just looks, like I said, it could get overwhelming, especially when you see 5 numbers. So let's look at one place value at a time. Look at that. Now we're only dealing with 2 numbers. We know that we need to subtract from top to bottom. Remember in first and second grade, you started subtracting and they said, take the big number and subtract the little number. And that's what some kids keep trying to do when they start subtracting bigger numbers. Now, remember, this number isn't 4 and 6. This number that we're subtracting is 94 minus 56. We're just doing it step by step so that it's easier to subtract. So they're in the right order, and we still subtract top to bottom. And you remember the poem, we're going to highlight that number in the ones place, those 2 numbers. We're going to highlight them, and let's go to our poem. More on top, no need to stop. Well, we don't have more on top. More on the floor, go next door and get 10 more. There are more on the floor. We need to make that top number bigger. Now, I'm not going to keep using this poem going into the bigger numbers, but I want to show you how that works, okay? So we are going to borrow, or we're not really borrowing, we're really taking it. We're not giving it back, right? When you borrow, you give it back. We're not giving that money or that 10 back, are we? We're taking it. We're going to take it away from the 9, make that an 8, because we're taking one set of a 10, and that's going to turn that number 4 into 14. And if it helps, cross that number off. Okay, 14 minus 6 is 8. And back to your poem, more on top, no need to stop. 8 minus 5 is 3. Again, another strategy, cover up those numbers so it doesn't look as complicated. And if you need a reminder, put an arrow pointing down as soon as you start the equation. Now, we just reviewed the process with two numbers, 2 digits, but now we're going to do 4 digits, 5 digits. Now we're going to do 5 digits. Now I put the place value at the top. We have our ones, then our tens, then our hundreds. Our comma goes here, and we have thousands and 10,000. So you're working with big numbers. I'm going to go ahead and put my commas in here too, so that we can see. It's a really good idea to always have your commas. Now we're going to go over 2 problems together. Let's do the first one together. I'm not going to highlight them. I'm just going to say if the top number is bigger, that's what we want. We're subtracting from top to bottom. The top number has to be bigger. If it's not, we're going to take one from the next door. We are going to use our paper and cover this up. 7 minus 6. We're good, aren't we? 7's bigger than 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. 9 minus 0. The top number's bigger. We're just subtracting 9 minus 0, and we put a 9 there. Easy peasy so far, isn't it? You're like, I can do this. Move it over. 6 minus 6. We have a 0. Keep moving the paper. 9 minus 7 equals, I heard you too. You guys are too fast. All right, and then we have one more. And we know we're not going to borrow because there's nothing to borrow from after that. So we didn't have to borrow on this one, did we? Everything worked out just fine. But did it help you to cover it with that piece of paper? Maybe you can get a little index card. You might get some construction paper and make your own little cover and put a fun face on it or something. Make it fun. Math doesn't have to be difficult. It's like solving a puzzle, right? We use our brain and we think of ways to go step by step so that we can come up with the answer. All right, so let's go over to the next one. I am going to cover it again just because that does really help. 9 minus 3 is 6. 3 minus 9, what happened? I can't do that. I need the top number to be bigger. So we're going to have to move over one more space because we are going to take one, right? We're not going to borrow it. We're not giving it back, are we? We're taking it. So we take one set of 10. Well, we're really 13 minus 9 is 4. Now I have a problem again. Now I have 3 minus 9. Another strategy that you can use is to change the color of your pen if it helps. You don't have to do that. But let's go ahead and move our paper. I've got a different color pen. It's blue. And I'm going to take a 1,000 actually from my 7 and add it to the number over here. And that makes my 3 at 13. See why that using different colors makes it a little bit clearer of what you're doing, right? 13 minus 9 again is 4. Now, when I go to my next number 6, 6 minus 9, we can't do that. The top number needs to be bigger. So I'm going to have to take from my next door so that I can make that number bigger. So I'm going to cross off my 8. That becomes a 7. And then we'll cross that off and make it a 16. And see, different colors, it doesn't get all jumbled up. 16 minus 9 is 7. I think we're out of numbers. We're going to move our paper just to make sure we're done. So 7 minus 4 is 3. Our answer is 37,446.